Well, greetings and thanks for joining us. Week 23 of the weekly financial roundtable for schools. I'm Tom Kuhn. We're glad you're joining us today. Money is not the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale. I'm from Qnity. We are the creators of Money by Qnity. It's a financial success training course. We just launched this in September. We're so excited about it. At Qnity, really what we're here to do is not only help people make great money, but also do what they love and have great quality of life. Taking what's complicated, confusing, and overwhelming, and to help create a more simple path to prosperity, whatever that means to you as a member of the school community and as someone that cares about students going through your school. Old rules versus new rules. So it's really about how we go to making things simple, visual, and actionable. And remember to prosper, manage your ATM, your attention, time, and money. We know your time is precious, so I want to thank you for spending your time with us today. And we hope you get some light bulb moments and that you maybe connect some new dots. Certainly spending time with Kevin Cameron, almost by osmosis, you'll have light bulb moments. So Kevin is our guest. He's from Pivot Point. He has I'll do a little more formal introduction to Kevin in a moment. Last week was the beginning of a new series that we're doing within our roundtables. It has to do with technology and beauty. Last week, we had Heath Smith, the owner of Ruiz in Texas, as well as Josh Howard, CEO of Vish. It is a technology-based platform to help with color management. And next week, we're going to have another guest on this roundtable that's from the world of technology. Technology is so important. There's so much money from the technology sector being poured into beauty. The numbers are staggering. And what a great opportunity to peel behind the curtain and get to know some of the people behind these technology companies. So certainly throughout these roundtables, we'll be including technology type principles and technology guests, as well as other guests that will help you move your business forward. So whether you're joining us today live, which many of you are, or you're watching this recording, we hope you enjoy it. If you are with us live, these are recorded and stored on YouTube. Shout out to our sponsors, starting with Pivot Point, our partners in the money curriculum, who we collaborated with. So super excited in this partnership. They are our lead partner in this money curriculum, which basically is an 8-module program that really takes a student through a journey that will ultimately result in greater confidence and greater success, not only on the money side of their life, but also appreciating and even better, being better at their craft. We hope you become a money school. If you want a demo, go to qnityforschools.com. We'll book a demo and we can spend some time having you look at that curriculum. Also, Lightheart Sanders has been sponsors of this roundtable. Thanks to Jared and members of his team. I'm going to get to a point on that in just a moment. But on a lighter note, as we move into the end of the year and we get closure and we look at our holiday season, this is a very unique holiday season in Peru, where people settle grudges from the past year by fist fighting and then they drink. So now, in terms of getting closure this year, there are a couple things to just consider as it relates to getting closure. Certainly make sure that you are spending some time with a tax advisor, doing tax planning. There's things what to do and what not to do. So just a nudge to you, so many miss this. They end up going through the end of the year. They get into January, they start thinking about their taxes, where the reality is December is the time of the year to be proactive and make some final changes. So a very simple, basic tip there. If you haven't scheduled something with your tax advisor, you should. I certainly know Jarrett's firm is very active in tax planning with their clients right now. You should have gotten Qnity, one of Qnity's visual thinking tools, the 9 grid, to help you capture your light bulb moments. And today we will welcome to our amazing brain trust, growing brain trust of contributors that have helped with light bulb moments. We do have a save the date here on May 15th. In Scottsdale, Arizona, we will be celebrating our brain trust and all the light bulb moments. It'll be also a Beauty Changes Lives fundraiser. So certainly May 15th is a day to put on your calendar, as well as the 16th and 17th. Qnity is going to have a leadership summit. I'll talk about that more in the future. For now, though, we have Kevin Cameron. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, Tom. How are you? Great. Good to be here.
You know, I had another roundtable this morning, and it was with a technology company. And the principal of this technology company was, yeah, Tom, you and I have known each other since the 90s. And Kevin, I haven't known you since the 90s. I just met you last year.
Right.
But a silver lining in the pandemic is meeting people like you, building great relationships. I have learned so much from you about education, and you're just like an encyclopedia when it comes to what to do, what not to do, trends and all of that. So I've been dying to get you as a guest for a while. So thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Tom. And it's the feeling's mutual. I feel like I've known you forever. It's amazing. So yeah, we have a very special relationship. I think we kind of live on the same side of the world, so to speak, creatively. So it's been great. It's been great for all of us at Pivot Point.
And you and I can go off and just talk education and creativity for hours and hours. But I don't think people want to witness that today. Your background is quite impressive. You're a senior vice president at Pivot Point International. Basically, it's strategic brand building and digital education futurist. You're senior vice president of global marketing, education, and business development. That's a big title.
Yeah, it's a big title, but it's an easy job when you have the people around you that we do, fortunately. So it's okay. It's okay.
Your humility always comes through. I love that. Now, I can go through your whole your dossier of work experience. It's quite rich and quite amazing. So you've had a great career in beauty, and you're contributing in some major ways. When we talked about some topics here, you spoke about this concept of moments of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And what is a moment of joy, and why is it relevant to our audience today?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a very long story. I'll give you the short version of it. But in short, a moment of joy is something that you have a relationship with, an event or an experience that you have a relationship with, and it's extremely memorable. And it is so deep in your soul, you'll never forget it. And that is what our industry is made up of, and we experience that all the time in our industry. And most of us that have had our whole professional life in the beauty industry, the joyfulness that we carry with us and the memories are just very rich, and you just never forget them. I remember my first pair of clippers. I told you yesterday, I still have them when I opened my student kit, and I will never get rid of those shears and those clippers. And they're really old now, obviously, but it's the joyful part of opening the kit when you're in beauty school or you're in aesthetic school or barber school is such a rich experience. And we know that from being involved in beauty schools. Those are kind of moments of joy that you never forget. Your first haircut, and so on. So for me, it was really interesting. Many years ago, when I was doing product development, we knew that we had to map, or we had to follow the journey of a consumer. For example, we were developing hair color products, and we did a lot of research with hundreds and hundreds of consumers regarding their hair color. Long story. And it was really, really interesting because we discovered that in the hair color journey, there were moments of joy and moments of doubt. And if you could focus on the moments of joy and you could counteract the moments of doubt, you could increase the whole experience. And at that time, we were developing products. So we needed products for the doubt, and we needed things to accentuate the joy. And that sort of stuck with me. It was pretty amazing. It was like the happiness rating of getting your highlights done. And we knew at 3 weeks that the frown would start because the regrowth would start to grow, and then so on and so forth. So we were trying to develop products for those different stages. That stayed with me all through my career recently. And today, we look at the moments of joy in schools, for example, we know that the joys are, you can really write them down. They're the opening of the kit, the first haircut, the first day is sometimes a doubt day. And it's really important to try to counteract that and also to celebrate it. So, and it applies in many ways, and we know it for the salons. It's the same thing. So it's a kind of an interesting journey.
So what you suggested was how moments of joy can really fuel content creation. And everybody's talking about social media and really the platform to really be relevant. And I love this whole concept about taking a fresh look at your social media and evolving from more of a service brand to a beauty media brand.
Mhm.
Speak to that for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, this applies, in a learning management system like our system lab. It's about, everybody is a content creator today, and our learners are so content centric that the opportunity, and especially now with COVID, everything we've experienced is like teachers are becoming content producers because they produce their online class. If they figure it out, if they really do it thoroughly, it'll just be a great moment of joy for the student. So we know that there are so many joyful moments on a clinic floor or in a salon, and we know that those moments of joy with those stylists who are just really good at their job, they're the perfect mechanism to build content to promote the joyfulness of the salon. In short, that's what it is. I'm a great long hair artist. I'm the one who should do the social media video, and I'm the one who should be shown on social media, because the joy that are in my hands and in my enthusiasm translates into business without a question.
So to me, being very pragmatic here
Mhm.
is, it sounds to me like this isn't necessarily bringing in a video crew. This isn't about having this, detailed plan.
No.
It's just very organic, do it, high return on investment, not really pulling out of your marketing budget. But this might be one of the most effective ways, are you suggesting, to create, become relevant as a school to attract students?
Yeah, whether you're in admissions or whether you are the campus director or whether you are the aesthetics instructor, expose your classroom. When you're teaching haircutting for the first time, you're going to have that natural enthusiasm. Everyone in the class will lean forward. If I take a snippet of that in just a homemade video and I post that, this is how we roll at Kevin's Beauty School. This is the enthusiasm. You're exposing culture, but you're also exposing this moment of joy. And this is really very, very effective. We know it from our research as well with content. Everything is a learning opportunity. Everything is all joyful moments should be documented and shared and reshared, like you're sharing this video and like you're sharing this series. So that's kind of what what you find. And salons today will, for example, or schools with their clinic floor, they might promote it by special offers or special promotions. They probably need to let the community know that coming to a beauty school is a good thing. They're great students, they're great instructors, so just expose it. That's the idea.
That's a major light bulb moment that you said about 45 seconds ago, in terms of, really capturing and celebrating these moments. It really connects with me personally in terms of bringing that just organic, behind the scenes moment. So keep talking about this. I mean, and you're talking about publishing these though.
Mhm.
So capture, publish, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know our industry relies on our partners, our product partners, stock photos, all sorts of promotional tools, and that's okay to do that. But if I own a school and there's such an enthusiasm for example, in the school or the salon, and there is something that we really specialize in, or there's someone who's just amazing at a certain skill, what happens is celebrate them. Everybody else will follow by example, and they become basically like the leader in that area. They become even a training mechanism for the school or for the salon. So we just know that in an environment like that there, and as students grow to get ready for graduating, they are doing this anyway. And this generation loves it. This generation wants to be documented and wants to celebrate themselves socially. So go for it.
You know, it's basically the prescription or prescriptive here is record and share.
Yeah.
Record and share. You know, we talk about light bulb moments during the roundtable today. And what you're talking about is moments of joy, you know, capture those moments.
Yeah.
Now being a little more tactile here, you know, there's a risk of having a knee-jerk reaction. And what would be some misapplications of this? Have you seen people that took this and ran with it? And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, you kind of missed the point here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our experience is just that, you know, it goes back to everything that is valuable as a learning moment. It's a learning opportunity. We call it a learning object. And learning is for everyone. So it could be in a classroom. So if you come and do a demonstration for me and you're a great colorist, I'm going to capture that and I'm going to put that in my learning management system and I'm going to document that. I'm going to keep it. If you're doing this education, I might share that on the school's social media to say, we tap into rock stars like Tom Kuhn to come and educate our students. So there is no real problem if you do it correctly with the right application. There's no downside. It's just sharing the culture of the school or the culture of the salon. That's it in a nutshell.
So you mentioned producing authentic content and humanize your business's value add.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are everything. We know that also at Pivot Point. People are everything, and they drive all successes indirectly. And the same thing with successful salons. You know yourself, Tom, from the past. Those folks inside the doors of that salon, they drive the reputation, they drive the enthusiasm, they drive the guest experience. So just expose it. I mean, that's why the business becomes very human when I see the hands working. You know, and that's a really important part of it all. And we know with schools, it's the same way. If you take down the barriers of admissions, if you take down different barriers, makes the school more approachable. Students shop schools, so they want to see inside. They want to get a feeling for the culture. We try to do that traditionally with admissions, of course, but social media is such a great tool to share it's sort of like what happens inside, the real story inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you gave me a little background information and you talk about salons and schools, I already mentioned this, evolving from a service brand to a beauty media brand. And God, it got me thinking about our own company, you know, and, you know, so you are causing me to be a little introspective here and take a fresh look at how we do things in our company at Qnity. So that's such a mindset shift for me, and for a school also, to see them being a media brand.
Yeah, a media brand is today a brand that uses this tool of media to build the business. You know, if you have a great barber program and you have a great barber instructor, then you need barber clients or men's haircutting clients. So you use that skill that's inside and then you just use it to promote. So the media creation can be, and we always talk about it in education. We believe everything is capturable and everything is a learning object. So you really become a media producer. And that's a kind of a big term for a lot of folks, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. I'm going to capture it. If I'm the owner, I'm going to do some editing and I'm going to share it. And I've just produced media. That's simple.
I'm interested in what comments we might have from the group here. And so what you talked about, imagine yourself, your team, or your business as a producer of authentic digital content, focusing on exposing how you can add value for your desired or existing clients, showing them live what great looks like. Yeah. Okay. I love this topic, and we might come back to it. I'm gonna switch topics slightly here
Mhm.
to something that I know you shared at the 2 to 10 project. You were a guest. Thank you for being a
Mhm.
conversation starter. And you also talked about changes in instructor design and evolving from the man or woman on a stage.
Right.
And this is also a very important idea for schools and for salons. So what do we mean by that? What do we mean by, instructional design and changes that we're seeing there, moving from an era of one talking head?
Yeah, it's indicative of the generation. They all have the ability to share their this generation is incredibly informed. The classroom is like a melting pot of information and communication styles. So there are those students that want to check you out online. So it's not about you producing maybe the most perfect haircut. It's about talking about what good looks like. Now, those of you that want to go online, let's go online and search and see what perfect looks like. Then there's others that would like to demonstrate. So they would grab a mannequin and they would show. So the classroom of the future is really, it's a learning, it's really about facilitating the learning that's in the classroom with all the different individuals that have something to contribute to the learning. So this generation is very open to that. We used to team up, for example, in partners. Today, we would just assemble with like-minded folks in a classroom and we would work the topic, so to speak. And the instructor's job is just to facilitate the group discussion and to keep it very inclusive, to keep it very authentic, and to keep everyone learning the way they want to learn. And that's going to be the change of the future. So you can't really dictate, and you don't, of course, school owners know that today. It doesn't work like that. A few years ago, Tom, they said, put your phones away. Now, just within a very short time, we say, get your phones out
Hmm.
because we want to check the internet as a tool. It's just a tool. That's what it is. So using it properly and learning to. So that whole dynamic in the classroom is changing very quickly. It will continue to change. And quite frankly, it's very exciting. It's the best thing that ever happened to education.
So I'm a school
Mhm,
and I have very seasoned instructors,
mhm,
and they have their way of doing things. They might be from a couple few generations away from the current generation.
mhm.
Um, is making that mindset shift and practice going to be very difficult for someone that's really grown up and they have this normal way of doing things? It seems like a shock to my system if I've been doing this for 20, 25 years.
Yeah, we always believe the result will indicate like true communication is the response you get. Like good communication is what the response you get from people, and our experience with instructors and those individuals with a lot of experience, they figure it out very quickly. And it's really a breath of fresh air, quite frankly, Tom. It is great because their skills of facilitating are so strong. They can keep the conversations moving. They don't have to be the expert in everything. They have to be very clear what we have to learn today. These are the learning goals. We're going to figure this out today together. We're going to learn this topic. But they're sitting in the middle of this craziness, which is very exciting. And once you get your head around it, you just realize don't fight it because you can't fight a generation. You know, we sat in our chairs and we listened very because we knew we had to. This generation doesn't want to do that. They want to contribute. So just let them contribute and you monitor the conversation, keep it moving.
I was picking your brain the other day and really looking internally in terms of like our educators and really distinguishing different types of roles as a person that is a guide. And we had this whole conversation. What's the difference between a trainer, a
Mhm.
facilitator, a presenter? And to many people, it's just I'm in front of a group and I do this. But being a facilitator is its own unique skill set, you know? And how would you really define the difference between a trainer and a facilitator?
I don't know. I really, it's a really difficult question. I don't know if there is any difference today because a trainer that wants to be successful is a facilitator and you are a coach. You're in charge of the classroom. That's it at the end of the day. and you have your base education materials, and you have standards, and you have all the things you need, and you facilitate the learning, and you are kind of a trainer, but you're a trainer of, I don't know if trainer is the right word any longer. We would say coach, and moving in the future, you're a learning coach, or you're facilitating the learning in the classroom. And I think it's really hard to compare the two, because I think they're generational as well. A trainer might be skills oriented and show what good looks like, but you would coach differently, and you wouldn't focus on what's wrong. You would try to elevate what's right and what they've done right, and how do you take it further and make it better. So it's not about criticism. So it's this coaching mentality, as opposed to, I'm going to train you how to do it perfect, because I better know how to do it perfect, or someone's going to call me on that, so that sort of thing.
You used an analogy about, TED Talks and the TED Talk format,
Mm-hmm.
and how structured it really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain parameters around it. There's maximum length, but there's more to it. And so describe to our group here today the whole concept of TED Talk and how it really applies to this change in instructor design, and some opportunities we can look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite kind of easy, because the TED Talk format, and it's really, Google it, it's really interesting. You have to achieve certain milestones within certain time limit. So in the first 2 minutes, and I don't have it in front of me here, but in the first 2 minutes, you have to establish connection maybe, and then you move on to the next. That is kind of like an instructional strategy. And when, for example, if I am teaching very experienced stylists, and if I'm helping them learn a new color product, for example, or a new technique, I've got to meet them where they are, and I've got to understand instructionally how I have to achieve what I want to achieve in the period of time. If I teach, if I'm mentoring barbers, for example, and they have 20 minutes to cut hair, then I've got to adjust my strategies to be about quick hair cutting. If I'm in a high-end salon and they are allowed to have an hour to cut hair, I might change my instructional strategy. So we believe it's and that, that's a pivot point strength. We believe that you look at the learner, you meet them where they are, and then you design the instructional strategy around that.
I meet the learner where they are. That's really a mouthful. And, that actually goes back to the genesis of Qnity. And, in running a, multi-location salon visit, and working with creative professionals for a very long time, it always was very frustrating to me when we didn't meet the learner where they were.
Yeah.
Let me be more specific. The biggest fan of a spreadsheet is the creator of that particular spreadsheet. And so much of financial related education was really designed for a very different audience, which to me is an issue of respect also. If someone doesn't speak French, okay, and you keep speaking French, blah, 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 then instead of acknowledging, oh, we're not speaking the same language, let's address that instead of just keeping going. And that to me was a big reason why Qnity was created. It was respect and meeting the learner where they're at.
Yeah.
So that really resonates with me. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, just Tom, the classrooms there's so many generations. There's career changers. There's young, folks that have come out of, went to college, it didn't work out, they wanted to take another route. The classroom is it's a melting pot of certainly cultural, demographics, age, experience. If you've never been in a premium salon, for example, and maybe where I come from, I never was in a premium salon until I eventually ended up owning one, but I didn't know about that when I went to school. And how could I understand this high standard and luxury if I had no background? So we would say, connecting with your prior knowledge. So you meet the learner where they are. If they're a career changer, it's a completely different conversation than it would be. I always say to the team, the learners are at zero. If they've never cut hair or they've never done aesthetics or barbering or worked with clippers, they're at zero. So we have to adjust our learning, our teaching, our mentoring, whatever you want to call it, for someone who's at zero. They have no background other than they were a consumer. That's very different than others that go to school. So meet them where they are. That's like the true secret of everything.
So this is a financial roundtable, and most topics touch on all functions of the business.
Right.
The topic we're covering today has to do with staffing, curriculum development, marketing, social media. Bringing it back to finance, none of what you're talking about here today seems to me to require any investment. And in fact, in certain cases, it's a lower investment to get greater results, by being a content creator, creator, and celebrating moments of joy. Is that a fair statement? That
Yeah,
from like a
100%.
profit and loss statement, this is actually friendly to the P&L?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's the power of the community. It's the power of talent. It's like I mentioned earlier, it's the way the world is. I mean, the amount of things that show up on your social media feed where people are just sharing things that they're important to them. So, just using that tool that's in the business, every salon, every school, every clinic floor has wonderful stories to tell. Just tell them and do that authentically in the way we're allowed to today. We don't need to produce things. So, it's just really authentic. Authentic wins today. And that's.
So I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone that's a multi-location school owner. And let's just say, hey, this makes a ton of sense to me. And, I have 3 schools, I have 4 schools, I have 2 schools, whatever. How do you roll something like this out? I mean, how do you make this part of a DNA where, it's so hard to bring change in? There's so much noise, there's so much going on today, and love this idea. But how do you implement something like this, especially in a multi-location school company?
Yeah, I think that those types of organizations know their strength. They know if you did a brand study on those brands, they would have this their customers, their former graduates would say, I went there, I felt very included. I love the way they taught me textured hair. They were really color experts. I was interested in color. There is sort of this claim to fame, let's call it that school would know. So you would either capitalize on that and push that out, or if your clinic floor had nobody with textured hair, you might start to show demonstrations of cutting textured hair. You will attract that clientele. And then socially, you decide how you want to spend your money and how you want to push that out. It's really just about filling the gaps and celebrating. The doubt part is, how do I correct that? Right? We know that we look on our learning management system on lab, and we can see when things are getting a little bit sleepy, they're a little bit dusty, and people are losing interest, and so on and so forth. We always say then create an opportunity for an activity that brings them back into joy, because we know the last few months they want to get out of the school, they got to get out, they got to get working. So give them a project, celebrate it, and let them celebrate themselves, get them ready for the real life. So counteract the doubt, push the joy.
I early in my career, I joined this program called the Strategic Coach Program. It's for entrepreneurs. It's actually a Toronto-based company, and they introduced this concept of strategic byproducts. And sometimes an initiative, a big initiative, like the first mission to the moon, sometimes the strategic byproducts that come out of something are actually greater than what the original intent was. Let me give an example. So the first mission to the moon, most people don't know, that's when Velcro was invented.
Right.
That's when microchips, freeze-dried food. So when you have a big initiative, so where I'm going with this analogy is you're talking about celebrating moments of joy. And I initially saw it more as a marketing strategy, but the internal dynamics around this and what this does culturally from an instructor and a student standpoint, is also the byproduct of this. I'm not sure which is greater, is what this can do internally, culturally, and as well as your messaging. So comments about that.
Right. So for example, if I have 5 years of teaching, and every new class, I capture and document those joyful moments in that journey, whatever that is. It could be the day that they all cut hair for the first time. It could be a testimonial of somebody who thought they couldn't do it as well as they did. It could be an instructor, a guest instructor who comes in and wows the audience. Just capture it. You start to build up this kind of inventory, this catalog of pieces of content that you'll share for years. And that is the way of the future. And that's, like learning management systems and technology allows us to keep it and to archive it and to use it again. When students go online and do research in a classroom, they will present something they've discovered. A lot of instructors would take note of that and use it next time as well. It's just accumulating. Right, it's just accumulating. This content is just accumulating, and that's just an amazing situation, because nothing valuable can really get lost. You just keep adding and adding and adding.
All right.
Yeah.
This is always a great conversation with you, Kevin. Looking at 2022 and the school industry, obviously there's challenges. There's as all industries, and there's threats and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What's your prognosis for the school business next year, 2022?
I think from an education perspective, our experience is that we should be very proud of our industry. Our schools are, and many schools are across the nation, whether they work with us or not, they are digitally centric. They figured it out. They are owned by entrepreneurs. Families have everything tied up in their schools. They made it work. We've seen incredible enrollments. They figured it out. They're going to get better at it. They're not perfect, but they're going to get better. And the tools are there today. And we supply a lot of those tools, and they're really good. We should be very proud of what we achieve. So that's going to continue. I believe it 100%. Remote learning can be very positive, and it has a role, and other industries have enjoyed this for years. It's about time we did that as well. We have some advantages from that, and that's really good for learners who are changing careers. All of this past 2 years is going to repeat. There will be people that want to turn it back, but it is very positive. Our industry has come into itself somehow with all the things that have happened. And what we see is just this incredible achievement by organizations. Like, they're doing it. And educators, they love it sometimes. I mean, there's lots of people that say, I'm zoomed out, but what I just read an article about this whole production of Zoom training, and it is those instructors produce it. They make it better and better and better, because it's not going away. So I think we're really excited about the future. I think it's great. Our industry is going to really change, we feel, as well. Shows will be streamed, digital components will be added, the reach will be improved. Why should I just stream to my local city? Or why should I just serve my local city when I have great content I could stream across the nation? It's allowed now. Everybody's okay with that.
So Kevin, can you share a moment of joy that you had this past year as it relates to your particular role at Pivot Point?
Yeah, we transitioned into a second generation of our learning management system, and it was really joyful. Just today, we completed the transition. The whole network is transitioned into a brand new, our global state-of-the-art system, and it's a really joyful time for us.
What you mean today?
Yeah, today. Oh, well, it happened last weekend, but we have completed a complete transition. So it's very joyful. That's a professional moment of joy. Some personal moments of joy as well, as just being home with family, right? It's been very positive, quite frankly, to get to spend quality time, with family, which is like all of us. But the professional moment of joy was the transition. It was a massive undertaking, moving from first generation to second generation, and doing it at a time like this. But it was perfect time to do it, and it's finished. So we're fully transitioned into this new platform.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. And it's
and working with Qnity would be a moment of joy as well.
Well, you dropped that out there, and I will say that that's absolutely been moments of joy for us. We had a dinner together. We worked together for a year. We hadn't really met in
Crazy.
person. It was like we're all at dinner, and it was just like it was amazing in September. So that was absolutely. If I had to pick a moment of joy, it was us meeting in Chicago. All right. Let me do a couple areas of protocol for you. I'm looking for something here. Here it is. Okay. Kevin, you did not disappoint. You provided plenty of light bulb moments today. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let me officially induct you into our brain trust.
Great.
And your $1 million light bulb. This will be sent to you shortly. If we could all give Kevin a virtual round of applause, thank you very much. And give Kevin a little shout out in the chat. Speaking of the chat, let's see what's going on here. Aaron also echoed lots of moment of joy from the Pivot Point team. Let's see, Kurt, a moment of joy here from Kurt. Hello, Kurt. Who else do we have here? Oh, we got some great guests here, sir, participants. So anyway, let me see what else I have before we wrap up. I'm going to pull things up on my screen and make sure that I'm not missing anything. I don't believe we have any announcements. I do have an announcement, and that is we are on next week. Michelle, you can put this in the chat. We're on next week for our last roundtable of the season. And then we're off the following 2 weeks, the week before Christmas, week before New Year's. And then we're back on again in the very beginning of January. So we got, and next week's guest will be technology related. Don't miss it. Some really awesome insights. We hope you got some light bulb moments today. Certainly when you're around Kevin Cameron, you're always going to get light bulb moment. We do hope that you will become a money school. Aaron is with us today, joining us. Aaron is not always able to join us. Aaron is the person that does do the demos along with Lisa from our team. Aaron Kuhn, president and co-owner, partner of Qnity. We also got Michelle from our team joining us today. Closing thoughts, all progress start when we tell the truth. And certainly Kevin provides some great truths as it relates to this generation, what they're looking for and what it takes to be relevant. So we're so glad you joined us today, and we will see you next week. Thanks again to Kevin Cameron, Pivot Point, and members of our team for being with us, but most importantly, for those of you that took time out of your busy week to join us. If you're watching by video, certainly send us an email or put some comments on YouTube, what you got out of this, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again, everybody. Bye now.